Have you wondered about a world where we actually got along, people didn't treat each other badly, and people didn't say bad things about each other? Where we dared to trust that the other person might have an idea that might be worth listening to, so we took the time to actually hear what was being said instead of shouting down the cacophony of other people? I'm Jonathan Albin, and this is Game Master's Soapbox. And every night at 11 o'clock, I'm on here when we're usually talking about something that is very games related and such like. But every once in a while, I have to use my soapbox for something more. And so tonight, we're getting off the soapbox, and I'm going to literally walk among you and let's talk about things from a different perspective, okay? I'm so glad you clicked the link and gave me this opportunity, because there are so many times when you click a link and you follow the conversation and it doesn't go anywhere. And so I just want you to realize that this is regularly just the beginning of a conversation. And so I hope to hear back from you in terms of comments and questions, because there is so much that it needs to be unpacked here. But I do want to talk about the world in a different way. There is a memory I have, and perhaps it's a falsified one that I've created on my own. But I do remember a world where we consciously chose to offer other people the benefit of the doubt. In other words, when somebody said something, we didn't immediately know what they were thinking. We didn't put into their minds or into their words intention that wasn't there. We simply assumed that they maybe didn't know what they were talking about, or perhaps could be educated. It's a subtle shift in our mindset that changes the way we interact with others, but it does give others and gives ourselves the opportunity to build relationships instead of tear them down. When we expect good out of people, we open ourselves to a world of potential possibilities. Oh, sure, there's going to be some of their ideas that are flat wrong. That's possible. But it's also possible that one or more of our ideas might be antiquated or unstable or irrelevant, and we need to look that over. But we need to, instead of spend our time constructing these walls and boundaries, we need to be tearing them down and imagining a level playing field. Imagine a lack of dire intent, and be more hopeful that the other person's got an actual idea that might be worth considering. It's really about putting a hopeful lens on things, and I know that our world doesn't have apparently a lot of hope out there. There are people who do have. They've got loads and loads of hope, but their hope is established on a tradition or a history that not all of us can embrace, and perhaps there have been some of us that have contemplated those things and run into them head on and said, I can't accept it. We're not doing this. We're going to do something else. But for us to become better to each other and for each other, there are some intentional steps that we can take to try to reinstate this. Let's all first start with something that I'm really big on. Those of you that know me and have watched any of my videos know that for me, it's about our imaginative life. We need to tap into our imaginative nature. From childhood, we are imaginers. We are creators in our own mind. We spawn and generate and color and quantify and identify things in our childhood that help us to cope with the reality and build the framework that we have as adults. And now imagine, instead of assuming that the words you're hearing from someone else are divisive, can you possibly look at it and ask the question, what are they actually saying? What would be the ramifications? And when you do ask that question, then you start to create for yourself the nature of curiosity, and you will be endeavoring to try to comprehend and adjust it. And this ability to imagine is important. If we do not use our imagination, if we only go with what we know, then we are very, very diminutive creatures indeed. I know that there's a concept out there, and I know it's got a name, and it escapes me at this moment, but we have this mathematic formula that says that the less that we know, the more we're convinced we're right. And almost everybody loves to level that on the person with whom they are competing, the person with whom they disagree. But it goes both ways. And so when we imagine this world where ideas can be disseminated and shared, we also have the capability of putting an idea out there and then collectively disassembling and reconfiguring it. And the main thing we have to do is we have to strip out of it that emotional condition and baggage that we bring with us. Because when we don't give the benefit of the doubt, just think about that for a second. Let's just consider that phrase. If you're not giving the benefit of the doubt, you're assuming that you do not have doubt. That means you're being so arrogant as to believe you know how they think or what they are thinking. And that's dangerous. Because when we grab a hold of somebody else's idea and we say, I know this information, I know what you're thinking, that's really dangerous because number one, incredibly invasive. I can't imagine, for example, as a game master, I can't imagine my players saying, oh, I know what's going on in your head. That'd be really kind of scary to think that there would be somebody that could do that. So instead of imagining that we know what they know, which is, of course, irrational and insane, but it also, if we can do the reverse and acknowledge that we don't know what they know, then we have to listen to the discussion and the argument and take the argument apart on its own. And I think this is also integral, very much a part of it. I feel a little bit like a certain porcine character from Looney Tunes. If we don't give the benefit of the doubt, then we are assuming that we know what they think. If we assume that we know what they think, that's a level of hubris and arrogance that is unparalleled. We need to stop that because we don't. We don't understand. That's the reason why there's an impasse, because we don't understand. So let's simply say, I agree. You know what? This is a hard situation. This is a difficult issue. Strip it away and let's look at it together. So there's some intentional steps we can take to do this. So we tap into our imaginative nature to accept that the idea is the idea. It is not associated with the person that came up with it. It's not their idea. It is an idea. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is recognize that everyone's struggles, experiences, and dreams are different from our own. If we can, therefore, empathize with their unique journeys and positioning, then we can foster compassion and forge deeper connections because we will all see that we are all in the same boat. This benefit of the doubt actually is like a life raft. I know that's, here I go with my analogies, and I'm a game master, so I can't really apologize for it. We have to create a place or a methodology where the idea can be disassembled by itself and not have egos riding on it, because we ourselves have to pull the egos down. We have to be, quote, in the life raft of this benefit of the doubt, knowing even we can be mistaken. Let's downplay the differences. I know that there's a big argument that says, well, let's just look at the positives and I'm only going to link down all the things that we all agree on, and we're going to completely disregard all the things that we don't. And that doesn't work either. The point here is that we need to downplay the differences, at least so that we're looking at it from the same angle. In a world that often emphasizes the divisions, we need to choose to focus on the shared nature of our humanity. I know that in today's world we have a lot of emphasis put on artificial intelligence and lots of emphasis put on our relationship with something that might be as smart as us, that isn't mortal. But let's downplay those differences and let's work at it as from the standpoint of humans, right? We all experience joy, pain, desire for connection. If we can acknowledge these common grounds, we can start to break down the barriers and build understanding. Now, does this mean I'm going to fix every problem, or that we can fix every problem instantaneously? Of course not. We are going to have very difficult conversations, and we need to have them on common ground with common understanding. And we have to therefore give some grease. And when I say give some grease, we have to have that benefit of the doubt, so that if somebody says something that sounds offensive or sounds, as people today would commonly say, if it sounds racist, if it sounds homophobic, if it sounds in a certain way, we have to realize that sounds part we're bringing to the table. We're listening for that for that to be something that was heard, because by benefit of the doubt, they probably didn't mean it that way. Now, does it mean they didn't? No, but it does say we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. We have to step onto that greasy surface where we're looking at the subject from all different sides, and we're doing it from the same perspective, so we're all using the same set of eyes to look at it. This is where imagination comes in, and this is where role-playing comes in. If you're a role player, you get this, that the storyteller is describing a situation, and the difficulty of the conflict is trying to solve the puzzle. But if you're looking at it from different sets of eyes and different perspectives, you're going to see it different ways. Rudyard Kipling, for example, did a very famous poem about blind men and an elephant, and how separately each of them perceived of the elephant in different ways as they ran into different portions of the elephant. One of them ran into his side and thought he was a wall. One of them ran into his leg and thought he was a tree because the trunk-like nature of it. And another one ran into his trunk and thought it was like a rope. There was the tail was the rope. But anyway, the whole point is that there are all these different perspectives. And if they had taken the position that their perspective was right and everyone else was wrong, they would not to this day know what an elephant was, because they would not have had an understanding, being blind, that they didn't have all the pieces. So this whole concept of benefit of the doubt is really acknowledging that we don't have all the perspectives on the angle. We need to see them all. And that means we have to open our ears. We need to listen to what others are saying, because if we do not hear them describe, I'm against the ear and it feels like a fan. And another one says, I'm up against the nose and it feels like a tree branch. And another one says, no, it feels like a trunk. And no, it feels... If we don't acknowledge our benefit of the doubt and give them the same, that, oh, okay, I might be wrong here. My perspective is limited. What are you seeing? And let each other talk. Good Lord, one of the things that's really getting to me lately is the amount of times that you go on air and you watch players, I'm now talking about game players, but you watch individuals all talk at the same time. They all want to be heard. They are all invoking their First Amendment right to speak. You do have a right to speak, but Rush Limbaugh used to say very cleverly, yeah, but not everyone has a right to be heard. You can say what you want, but if I don't have the ears to hear, it will go nowhere. You shouting in the wind will only upset the wind. You're not going to get anything back from it. We have to acknowledge the common ground. We need to scoop together the perspectives that we have. We need to aim all eyes through each perspective to gather a picture of what this elephant looks like so that we can fix it. I'm going to also mention the fact that we do have to have hopefulness in our communications and interactions. And the legacy media, the mainstream of dialogue, the popular culture, whatever terms you want to use, all of them are failing in communication. I'm a former air traffic controller, and it is absolutely essential when you are speaking with aircraft to make sure that you speak with every aircraft, that every aircraft can hear you, and that every communication you make, everyone else knows what everyone else is saying. You've got to be able to have an ordered discourse. We don't have an ordered discourse. We have a chaos, and it's a cacophony. I'm not surprised that the wonders and the curiosity about extraterrestrials aside, there's always the curiosity of why don't people listen to us? Well, that's because we're all making so much noise, making sure we're heard, that we're not hearing anybody ourselves. So, as my grandfather would say, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should spend twice as much time listening as you do speaking. And maybe my halting methodology and my energetic chaos as a speaker has failed me. But I hope that you have taken the time to listen to the words that I'm saying, to hear the message that I'm trying to convey, because there is an answer to the question. Remember what my question was at the beginning. Have you wondered what would happen if we dared to see the world through the lens of boundless potential, where we embraced the beauty of humanity and allowed space for the unexpected to unfold? Those things that are unexpected, that are beneficial to us, we often call miracles. And there is a miracle that occurs when we actually communicate fairly, justly, and giving each other the benefit of the doubt. And that is understanding. Even if we do not succeed in conveying properly our full point to quote, win the argument, nonetheless, if we spend enough time listening to those that oppose us, hearing their words, and reciting back to them what they are saying in a fashion that they can then accept because they are going to give us the benefit of the doubt as well, then we can start to chip away at the differences and chip away at things where we really think we're different. But the reality is that we are of the same. So according to the benefit of the doubt, it is not about being naive. It's not about ignoring genuine concerns. It's not about throwing out the baby with the bathwater. It's about recognizing that our initial judgments may be clouded by bias, and we may have incomplete information, and there may be more to know about the situation. By giving anyone else and everyone else the benefit of the doubt, we invite our own open-mindedness. We are requesting the same of those that we are competing with or we think we're disagreeing with, and we're encouraging a more compassionate, more accepting, and more communicative world. So let's embark on this journey together. Let's consciously consider the opinions of others, and let's choose to expect the good in people, to reinstate this concept of affording the benefit of the doubt. By embracing our imaginative nature, thinking about where we are and what we are thinking, and putting it in context, downplaying the differences between ourselves and our opposition, and uplifting hopefulness in all of our interactions, we can create a ripple effect of positive change. It starts with every one of us. So I'm pledging for myself to be much more communicative in terms of even the more difficult subjects in the future, because I believe there is a way to look at things with an eye for places where we can agree and places where we can choose to disagree. There's always going to be that case, but it starts with each one of us. And if we make a conscious decision to make this choice, we will see goodness in others because we will allow them to see the goodness in ourselves. I'm Jonathan Albin, and this has been Game Master's Soapbox, and I'm getting off my soapbox now. Thank you.